All right, y'all. So the first question is, how do you feel Davidson College excludes, alienates, or disregards your community?
I feel like, first of all, our culture is not being appreciated. I remember during Lunar New Year and during Diwali, the Davidson official Instagram account did not post anything about our festivals. And during International Day, people took a big group picture, and there was no sight of it. And that's where I was really disappointed that Davidson did not post about it and to represent out the Asian culture.
Yeah. So going off that, that just shows that there's so many cultures coming together on campus, and just as an Asian or an Asian American, there's so many cultures that are being consolidated into one. So we bring so many different things to the table, and so like you said, we might have events for Chinese New Year and Water Festival. We don't see all these other events coming on, and nobody's giving attention to these other cultures that are also represented on campus. That's a big part that we're not seeing.
The norms that made me feel comfortable have completely disappeared here. So if I were to celebrate my religious festival, Eid, nobody anywhere around me would know anything about it, and I'd have to specifically ask professors to accommodate that for me. So certain regulations weren't made in a way as to accommodate that too well. For example, we are supposed to fast for a month as Muslims. When we try to do that, it coincides with the time for finals in the spring semester. And it's incredibly hard for us because we're fasting the entire day. We're literally starved and we're still having to give our exams. I know that the professors try to be accommodating for this, but sometimes they wouldn't want you to go back to your dorm and at night when you have had something to eat to go give that exam. So that little distinction, that little difference that is just exclusive for us and not for anybody else, that we have to starve ourselves when we're giving potentially very important exams, is a little hard on us. It is something that I feel is unfair. It's just disregard.
I think I'd say, just as a Nigerian American woman, it's just, to me, just a total disregard of our existence. And this is coming from the larger community, but also the Black community as a whole. It's the fact that we are Black means that we're lumped into this community, but there's still no recognition of how our experiences coming from either African households in America or just African households, period, how that distinguishes our experiences from other Black students on campus. And with that, there's a cultural isolation of the fact that there are needs that I have as an African woman that are not being met on this campus. There are conversations that I feel were either, I wouldn't say actively left out of, but it's an unconscious thing that we're reducing the needs of Black students on campus to just one thing. Just as just being a part of the Davidson African Students Association, I think we've just been reduced to an organization that you get food from whenever we're having our one jollof rice event.
People see the Asian, every Asian association hosted events as a food event, they only come here for the food, but they don't know about the history, the culture, the everything behind it, the story behind it, and which is the most important part of the event,
Students can do a better job of not just generalizing Islam into one experience. I think there's a major difference in experience for me being a Muslim who was born in America, and Rasim, who's a Muslim born in Bangladesh and is now in America. There are different sects of Islam. There's a lot of different, I think, narratives and perspectives that I think always get generalized into one bubble, and I think that's the same with any identity. And it's something that I think everyone has to work on for everyone, but I think that would be nice.
No, I completely agree. Coming here as a first year, it's kind of a shock. Coming in and not being able to have a space, I guess, to be in your own community, and actually having a physical representation of it might be the first step. I know it's hard, but having just somewhere where we can all meet, it would be nice.
work on in the future, just having a physical space that we can say that this is where the African students belong. Because most of us, like Tana and I, we both have not been home in over a year. So just having that space that we can say that, okay, Davidson is mentally, socially, and culturally exhausting me right now. Where can I go that I can say, this is where my people are?
I also don't think this environment here is really conducive to have African students. Like when the incoming class came in, I was so sad. Like I really felt bad for one of the students because she was really stressed out. Like she was like so shocked when she realized that no one really wanted to associate with the African students. Like people would not even walk up to you and have a discussion with you, but they would walk up to everyone else and try to talk to them. And I was like, oh my god, I'm probably used to this because I've been here for a year and I can hang out on my own and I can do my stuff on my own. But I was feeling so bad for the other students that came here.
And then the second question is, what steps can we take to make the campus more inclusive for you?
So personally, we feel like when people think about Latinx identity or Latinidad, instinctively they issue a white or black binary so they can become more organized and how to fit in that type of person. Or if they fit the type of mold of Mexican stereotype where they have a brown complexion with dark hair, they instantly input that on that person. And in doing so, Latinx identity is not specifically a race. It's more of an ethnicity, and we all share that type of cultural background, that we come from a specific region that has similar cultures, but we all have our different nuances because we all come from different types of regions. And especially coming from Miami, people are more focused on like what country you're from. And what country you're from really tells like what your culture is and like what your background is, rather than asking like, or are you white, are you black? That's just typically not the type of question that we usually get. So personally, when I first came to Davidson, I was kind of shocked by that because I really didn't know how to answer that. I've never been asked such a type of question. I've never been like put in a situation like that before. So it was really my first awakening to like race when I first came to Davidson, to be honest.
We have a list of demands that we just posted all around campus. The administration could definitely work with us to be achieving some of those demands, but I also think that some of the burden should be put on the student community at large, past just the administration, in terms of talking about marginalized students' problems, especially because I know that there is such a divide between students of color and white students on this campus, and like we posted our demands everywhere. We put them on social media, we put them physically on the pillars of chambers, and we got a response from the administration. And like that conversation has been started. I'm not saying I don't know what's going to happen with that, but at least that conversation has been started. Whereas I think that the student body response has been much more limited, and like one of the best things that people should be doing as allies is just talking about our issues, and just talking about it makes it so much more important. And that's just something that I've really seen a failure of people from like the student body in general following Thursday when we publish our demands? Yeah. Like it's Sunday now, and I still think that like, and I think this is the exact same thing that happened last semester with the Black Student Coalition's demands that followed the neo-Nazis. Like there was not a big student response to that either, except from Black students and students of color. And that's exactly who we're seeing respond to us, is students of color, or like the few like white students who we are friends with, who like we have a personal connection to. And that is so frustrating. Like the administration, yes, the administration is so problematic. That's a separate issue, and they need to do a lot of stuff, and they need to look at our demands, but also the student body needs to step up and like talk about these issues and be active allies, not just like passing by the demands and being like, oh, I guess I saw that piece of paper. Like what? Yeah.
And related to that, like academically, institutionally, what like the administration can do is we want Tamura to stay. We want professors who can teach. We want courses taught by the professors
who will stay,
who
are not
stay,
visiting professors.
Yeah. And ultimately, we want a department with a minor and hopefully a major. Like, we understand that this is going to take time, but like those are like, we want professors, we want courses, we want a department.
So final question is just any just remarks, comments in general that you guys want to make about inclusivity on campus, about honestly anything just regarding your culture and your experience here.
What Commons tells you is Indian food or Bangladeshi food is most definitely not
not it.
Indian food. It's not even close.
Yeah, that's not it.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Maybe like understanding that we're just like two people, like part of our organization, and like even though we try to speak for our organization, like there are members in our organization, you know, who think differently than us. I think that's kind of important to realize that like just because we kind of see the problem in one way doesn't mean like that's the only problem. So kind of just like go open-minded, and I think when you see somebody, you know, like Muslim student, non-Muslim student, doesn't matter, just talk to them and try to understand where they're coming from in this world, because I think it's just pretty important, and I don't think it's something we do enough here.
Something that everybody deserves.
Mm.